more because your base is in there.
That's the problem. What's up, everybody? We're back.
Good morning.
TCO17 in Buffalo, New York at BNMC, Buffalo Niagara Medical Campus, that is, our great sponsor here.
I feel like this is like Good Morning America. We're the morning talk show.
I know, because I don't
Get
have my
your
coffee.
No coffee
No,
today?
no coffee for me. But we're back with you now. I'm Will Price, joined once again by Nick Castillo.
How you doing?
And we are thrilled to be back with you to bring you coverage this morning of the Top Coder Open Marathon match, as well as the design semifinals, the first round of semifinals. We have another round later on, and then obviously the finals later after that on the final day. So a lot of interesting things happening at TCO this morning, and I'm just going to start us off right away with a quick live look in at the reigning marathon champion, Saiho.
All right. What's he doing?
Well, he's coding, Nick. Working on our problem right now.
What is this problem?
But I promised the people that they would get to see screens, so I'm really excited to bring those to our viewers this morning.
Sure thing. We'll give them some background. Like, what are they actually working on?
So I'm gonna give the kind of high level overview here, and then we're gonna have Tim Kirchner come on a little later and walk us through the details. Right now, what the marathon competitors are working on is a problem called City Patrol. They are given a grid with areas that have high crime rates, areas that have low crime rates, and they have a set number of patrol cars that they can then route throughout that grid, trying to prevent crime before it happens or stop crime as it happens. At some point, we may see Saiho pull up his visualizer, and we can talk through that a little bit more. But ultimately, it's an optimization problem to move your limited resources in the most efficient route through the grid under changing conditions. The crimes, which are represented by red squares on the grid, occur, over time. So you'll see kind of shifting conditions, and their optimization algorithms will need to adapt to handle those changing conditions.
That was pretty good. Did you practice that?
No. So there's our quick look in at Saiho. We're gonna now jump over to the design side of things. We're gonna take a look at Universo.
Universo. All right. What's he up
now. So, we got some placeholder text here, but he is working on on the design challenge. Obviously, it looks a little different than the marathon competitor screens. You might notice.
A little more visual.
Yes.
Understandable.
So our designers are working with one of our sponsors to do designs for a real mobile application. Our great sponsor, M&T Bank, has a community outreach program called Promise Buffalo.
Okay.
As part of that program, they partnered up with a school, a local school in the area. It's called Westminster Charter School, and that school wants to have a way to create connections between its students and leaders and mentors in the community. So that way it creates opportunities for underprivileged youth to meet people who can be a positive influence on their lives. So this mobile app is going to be a way for the students, the target is students at this school, to kind of search through and find mentors who kind of match what they want out of a mentorship. So kind of cool stuff there going on as well.
And the great thing about this, I feel like, is that you may think that we are speeding up this video, but this is some speed designing in action. It's pretty cool to just watch, You really need to know your program. You need to know all the shortcuts and things to basically, get everything completed quickly, because they don't have much time as well.
Yeah, I don't think I can do anything that fast that I try and do. So, to jump over now and check out another competitor in the design track. Nick knows how to say his handle better than I do.
Arianto Onko from Indonesia. So we have a lot of designers from Indonesia here.
Strong representation from Indonesia in the design competition. I guess we're right now going to look at his email as he gets some clarification on the design question here.
Sometimes you need a little more, background.
Now that's part of the competition as well. So nothing is entirely clear at the beginning when you get a problem statement. We do have top coder admins who are standing by at each competition, ready to answer questions as they come up in real time from these competitors. They do post, they email it out to everyone. They post them in a forum, just so that way there's a record of that, and it's all public information. So if one competitor asks a question, that question is floated up to everybody, and the answer is as well. And so everyone's on an even playing field.
And that's not necessarily just a TCO17 competition thing. This is something that happens every day on the Top Coder platform as well. So people always asking questions, always making sure that they are understanding the requirements correctly, because if you just assume something, you may get scored down for it, and it might not be what you want, because design is subjective. I mean, there's no right or wrong answer, so it's best to have a comprehensive idea of what you are working toward.
Yeah. And one of the strong benefits of being here on site at TCO is that sponsors here, M&T Bank, is here, and they're going to work through the review sessions with these designers as they work through the semifinal round and move on to the finals. So there will be kind of real-time feedback incorporated into the designs that they're working on right now.
So how many semifinalists do we have? We have like 2 groups, or
yes, we have 2 groups. Currently, we have 7 competitors going on there. And you're going to have to forgive us a little bit. We're going to go a little inside baseball. You're going to hear a couple introduction notes as we switch between feeds here. I do want to jump back to the marathon match, though. Give it another look in there. Shortly, we will be joined by Tim Kirchner, who will kind of give us the detailed walkthrough.
The godfather of these competitions on the data science side.
And the guy who would be happy to sit here literally all day and talk to you about it. But Tim will come down and give us a walkthrough of the problem and some of the strategies that we could be looking at. And then later, we'll move back onto the design coverage a bit more down the road.
Cool.
And Adam Moorhead will join us to talk us through the design problem. A lot better than I probably am able to. So we're going to go back to our marathon match in just a moment. If you have, I'll just, while I do that, get that ready to go. Just please, in the chat, I see we have some viewers on Twitch already. I know we have some viewers on Facebook Live. Let us know what you want to see. If there's a certain competitor going right now that you would like to take a look at, or if you have any questions about the competition, the structure of the competition, or the problems, please float those up. We'd be happy to answer those. So we are going to make the switch now for real and move over to Merrick Seigan.
Merrick Seigan came in 2nd place last year. It was him and Saiho at the top of the leaderboard pretty much throughout the whole competition in TCO16. We do have a surprise. I don't know if we have the leaderboard access right now.
I don't have the leaderboard access right now. We will get that later on today.
But we can update you
as things happen.
We can update you right now. So actually, this is in a surprise turn of events really early on, but we have W. Leite leading, and he has around 905,000 points. Saiho has 904,000.
Saiho nipping at his heels.
Yes,
we're going to have to explain what those mean, and we're going to have to wait for Tim to do that properly.
And since we have Merrick up, and Merrick is actually in 3rd place with 417,000. He did shoot up early on after submitting his code. He was at the top around 900,000. Can you explain how the points work?
I was hoping Tim would do it because he'll do a better job of it.
No, but I think you have the right idea.
So the way scores work right now is that really there's a million points available.
Okay.
I think it's a million. Right? A perfect algorithm.
Per, I think. Because I think it adds up to him.
Okay. See, this is why I wanted Tim to explain. There's a lot of numbers, but basically, the way it works is scores are all relative to one another.
Gotcha.
So no one on the leaderboard is going to have a perfect score, most likely. But think of it as almost a percentile. Mm-hmm. So right now, W. Leite sitting on top with the highest value, the highest point value, but Saiho is performing very, very close right now. He's probably within 1% of W. Leite's early code. But then there's a big drop-off where you have Merrick coming in at probably about 40% efficiency compared to the other submissions. You also need to keep in mind that this all happens as people submit their code. So, great example, Chakudai coming in from Japan hasn't submitted any code yet. So we don't, he has no points. So he's kind of flying under the radar now, and his competitors, who can see how each other are performing, don't know what he's got ready to go at this point.
And it's kind of great to see how each one of these competitors also like to compete as well. Some I've already seen get up, walk around, kind of get that, brain juice going, stretch out a little bit, and kind of think to themselves. You see them staring up in the air, like just kind of beautiful minding it in a way where they.
I've
That's
never
how
heard
I
that used as a
imagine
verb
it, at least.
before.
Beautiful minding it?
Yeah. No, I like it though. I like it. So we're gonna now cut over and check out Milanin coming in from Russia.
All right.
So
Do you know anything about Milanin?
he's from Russia.
Okay. You know any of his background? Does he have any brothers or sisters?
Are you baiting me with questions? Are these leading questions?
No.
Oh.
I have no idea.
Oh, cool. Well, thank you for putting me on the spot.
Of course.
You have 90
That's what I do.
competitors. It's unfortunate, but we don't
Yeah,
have the time
to have like a bio of
Yeah.
each one.
Yeah. Oh, yes. I don't personally, but that's. Thanks for making.
Oh, here we go.
There
A little
yes.
visualizer.
And that is a very crime-ridden
boy.
map right there. So you saw very briefly right there. What you saw was the grid filling up. Red squares represent active crime happening now. Gray squares represent high-risk areas for crime. Green dots represent patrol cars, and you'll see them fly through. Hopefully we'll get a visualization here. You can see Milanin is currently running something. So it looks like he's right now running a high-speed simulation of the growth of crime if you don't run your patrol car. So you could see that red field expanding, and the borders where it's a high risk expanding as well. So the patrol car is what he's going to use, that green dot, to kind of mitigate that and fight back the ever-spreading storm. I mean, I hope that there's no city that has a problem that looks like what we just saw.
Hopefully not.
And just for the sake of all its residents.
We don't want to get too political here on this show.
But no, it's an interesting thing to see.
The thing I like about this, though, is that as designed in a way, there's no one right answer. You don't have a piece of code that, is the right answer. So basically, the code that they're writing, if plugged into a certain data set, a certain scenario, it should be able to perform at its most optimum capacity. So maybe there are only 2 patrol cars that are out at the moment. Maybe there are 5. Obviously, 5 could get it done faster, but the way that you're writing the code should be able to, the 2 police cars should be able to visit all these crime-ridden squares in such a way that it's optimized. So the same way as it would be with the 4 patrol cars, So the code runs the same scenario, but it needs to run it in such a way that it's fast, like the best paths to take.
Right. And it needs to adapt based on how many resources it has available as well. So another great point that you just brought up is the testing of this code. So the competitors in the marathon have limited test cases that they're able to submit. We give them a set number of test cases, and they can run through those as many times as they want, really, and see what their performance is going to look like. But it's a very small set of test cases as opposed to what you could expect to see when we do our system testing, which is thousands and thousands of test cases. So they may test it, 3 to 5 test cases and samples, but over the course of system testing, it's going to be hit with a whole lot more data, which is going to really let us know what things look like.
Which I believe is why they start on the first day, because the system tests can take up to a couple days to process all of that code.
Now, I don't know if Nick even noticed, but we did swap over to our current leader, W.
Very cool.
Coming in from Brazil. He brought his whole family with him. Saw them all here last
Yeah.
night.
2 kids, right?
Yeah. They're right in the picture. They're on the screen too. I think he wanted.
Oh yeah, look at that.
Yeah. So a family man there. Also, brilliant data scientist on top of it. A face that we see pretty much every year here at the Top Coder Open.
Yeah, I feel like I'm trying to think if he's ever won one, but I know he's always in the competition. He always works hard every year to make it to the TCO, which is
Right.
great.
And just to be clear, being one of the 12 here for the marathon
Oh, man.
match qualifies you as one of the best algorithmists. Is an algorithmist a thing? If it's not, it is now.
I use it in all my text speak, and I always get the red underline that's like, this is not a word. I'm like, you don't know anything.
Yeah, no.
You
He
know
is
nothing,
one of the top
Jones, no.
algorithmists in the world. I mean, there's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
So we're getting a look right now, seeing some of the test cases that he has been working through. You can see kind of what his score is on each of those, the time of the test being run. So W. Leahy getting in some early tests off to an early lead today. Now we're going to take a quick moment, check back on the chat. We are up to 20 current viewers just about.
Great.
Very
Facebook,
exciting.
we have around
Please,
44.
Oh, excellent. So
Yeah.
whether you're on Facebook or Twitch, please, leave comments if there's someone you want to see. That would be, excellent to hear from you. We want to talk to you. We want to bring you what you want to see. So we're going to cut back to the... Oh, no, we're not going to cut back because we have a visualization going, and that's the most interesting part of the marathon. So we can see
Oh,
here
here
it's
we
going
go.
a little slower, right?
Yeah.
So it's moving. You see the patrol cars as they work their way through. They're targeting these high crime areas, but the crime's always expanding. It's really kind of a dark vision of the world. And W. Leahy is our only hope.
It looks like, hey, we're getting controlled by some top coder admins.
Oh, well, that's
So-
pretty common.
Andrew Abbott says, please describe each line of code in great detail, please. Will Price.
Oh, well, Andrew Abbott, no. Thanks for watching, though, Abbott.
And Michelle Briggs is asking what she's looking at, and if you could just recap the problem statement for those who maybe have tuned in a
I
little
think that's something
later.
that we'll have to do
Yeah.
over the course of our broadcast. So for those who are just catching up and tuning in right now, we are currently in the covering the marathon match. This is a 10-hour-long algorithm coding competition. You have 12 competitors flown in from around the world to compete in person. I see some activity on the stage over here. So that's some movement going around. So sorry, it was very distracting for me. But no, the problem this year is called City Patrol. There is a grid. That's the grid that you may have just seen me talking about and getting all excited about. Red areas represent areas that crime is occurring in, very high crime rates. Gray squares on that grid represent at-risk areas. If an area is at risk, there's a chance, a random chance, that it could become a high crime area and expand out. So it's almost like an expanding virus. In
And
a
it's
lot
very,
of ways.
I think it's dynamic too, right? Because like you could see a red square in one spot, but another one could pop up eventually in the scenario, right? In a potential scenario.
Yes, yeah. So a gray area could turn red at any time, and anytime an area turns red, all of the adjacent squares turn gray because it's always expanding.
Right.
Now there's some green dots that you'll see the next time that we get one of these visualizations run through. Those represent patrol cars. A patrol car can drive through the grid and kind of hunt down crime, stop it as it occurs. If you run through a gray area, it turns it back to white, or at least resets its timer, I believe. Tim can clarify that
Yeah.
for us when he comes on. If it goes into a red area, it clears that crime out, and that means all the adjacent areas are no longer at risk. So clearing out a red area has more value than a gray, but hitting a gray area does slow down the expansion.
Correct.
So there's a couple different ways you could do this. You do have limited numbers of resources. We do have, coming back onto W. Leahy's screen, an example right now, so we can see as he works his way through the different colors of the grid here as his algorithm
That is
kind of
so cool.
cranks out the patrol routes here.
I love the visualization part of this thing because it really helps those who don't code really understand what they're doing. And,
Yes,
you know,
it's very helpful for me. So
Yeah.
what I can describe in great detail, Andrew Abbott, is the visualizer, because that's about the level that I can operate at. There's a reason that they're on stage and I am not.
That kind of brings in a comment from XJ on Facebook who says, so this is not for beginners?
No, this one is this one's not for beginners, but you can get started and get your way here.
Yeah.
So if you're not familiar with Topcoder, check us out. It's topcoder.com. We are a community of over 1 million designers, developers, and data scientists competing for real cash prizes all the time. There's great opportunities for learning. Even if you don't win, you always learn something. You'll get feedback, and it's the best way to do it. Every single person here who's competing, $10,000 for the winner today, the winner of the marathon match, and every other one of our competitions. All of them started by taking that leap. And the one piece of feedback I hear consistently is the hardest part is getting started and getting over yourself and saying, it's okay if I lose, but I'm going to learn. I'm going to get better. I think my favorite thing is Saiho, our reigning champion in the marathon match, and he has won multiple. I don't know the count actually, but he's probably won 4 or 5 TCO marathon matches. Saiho, he says to me, I say, what's your strategy? And he goes, I just throw shit against the wall and see what sticks. I just try lots of things and I do what works best. And that's one of the smartest algorithm writers in the world right there, giving you his strategy. Now, I'm sure that his brain operates at a different level than mine, which is...
But I think he always just keeps cool, calm, collected.
Yes.
I
grinds it.
Yeah, I
Grinds
talked to him the other day, and I was like, so how are you preparing for the competition coming up? And he's like, I'm just not thinking about it. Not even caring.
I feel like you have to turn off your brain to just get it ready for the grind. So this is called the marathon match because they are given 10 hours to optimize this as much as they can.
10 hours straight. Like they're getting lunch delivered to their desks.
Right.
So that they can
we are almost at the 2-hour mark of the competition right now. There's currently 8 hours and 5 minutes remaining in this competition. So it's still very early on in the grind. They're all still very awake and functioning. We'll see if that changes over the course of the competition. So for a while now, we've been checking out W. Lati. I think it's time to maybe make another swap over.
Sure.
I want to make sure we have 6 of the marathon competitors available to us today. Everyone deserves a spot in the in the limelight right here. These guys have definitely earned it.
So as while you're doing that, leaderboard update, Saiho has reclaimed the #1 spot, W. Lati in second place, Paul Jeffries breaking the top 3, followed by NHZP 339, Tomarun, Marek Saigan, Ainu7, Cataline T, Black Math, Chokudai, and Mureglu.
How was that for some bad timing? I switched over to Tomarun, and he got up to go take a bathroom break. He just walked in front of us, and I was like, oh no. So you guys get to see his lock screen. No, we're going to solve this one real fast.
I think this proves that they aren't robots.
Yes. A little bio break action. That's really, really awesome. Got some egg on my face. I think we'll go back to Saiho. How does that sound? Reigning champion.
And last, if you missed it, was Mugureliunuts from Romania. And I have been trained how to say that name from one of our own members from Romania, Dara K. She was a designer. It's like, you must say his name properly. And that is what I will do.
Mm-hmm. So to be clear, I do want to apologize to everyone whose name we get incorrect. Nick will do a better job at it than I will.
Well, I had to record everyone's names for the welcome reception.
Yeah, so Nick's had a little more practice than I have. Yeah, so at this point, as in the marathon match, we're sharing Saiho's screen now, but at this point, every one of the competitors has at least run a test set, so they're all up on the leaderboard. As Nick mentioned, Saiho currently sitting on top, W. Lati still pretty close to him up there, kind of nipping at his heels, and then there's kind of a big drop off down to the rest of the leaderboard. Everyone else is probably about 60 to 50% efficiency of the top 2 right now. So we're seeing a couple early leaders, but you have to keep in mind that not everyone has submitted their code yet.
Correct. Yeah, absolutely. We also had a request yesterday to get kind of like a lay of the land and what it looks like.
Set the scene here?
Yeah.
All right, let's do that, because Saiho is not using descriptive variable names, which makes it hard for me to know exactly what he's doing.
You mean you don't know what BV is? Come on.
Yeah, no, I don't know what goes on in the mind of Saiho. I don't think if I did, I would be up there and not right here. So coming back to the Topcoder Open, live shot of the arena right now. It's Well, there's a lot of folks hanging out. You'll see people who are competing in other competitions, kind of hanging out, sharpening their minds, sharpening their tools, or maybe browsing Facebook, maybe watching us right now. Hey guys, what's going on? At the far end, you'll see the desk setup where we currently have the design competition going. So you can see we have some kiosks with some monitors. Every competitor who's currently going right now has their screen visible to the whole set. Oh, I have just been offered some inside scoop on the marathon contest.
I think we should bring it in. I think we should.
I think it's time. Are you ready to join us? So.
Only for a minute or two. But
Okay.
This is the need to know information.
Okay. All right. We're on the air. So is this going? All right.
Oh,
now,
fantastic.
Hold on. Bear with me 1 second, and I'm going to pull up our video feed here. We're joined by Tim Kirchner, who is running our marathon competition, and has dropped in to give us some. Wow, Nick, real professional.
I want the world to see Tim Kirchner.
Yes.
It's in his face.
They want to see me, I'm sure. I actually have here the list of what kind of sandwiches each competitor is having for lunch.
You brought this over for us.
I did. I thought this was.
I'm glad we halted everything for this.
Well, this is a different side of the competitors that we don't usually get to see.
All right, prepare yourselves for some human interest piece.
yes.
We get to know what sandwiches everyone
So apparently
wants.
both Anu and Black Meth like ham. Catalan and Saiho go for the roast beef. We've got Merrick,
the viewership
Magerliano,
is dropping.
and Tomer all wanting the turkey sandwich. Is it really dropping?
Oh no, I don't know, but it might
Did
be.
we drop from 3 people to 2?
Hey now, we have some good numbers.
No, we do. And the remainder are getting the tuna sandwiches today. I just thought, the human interest side of things, like, how often do we hear what kind of sandwich they're going to have?
Okay, well, thank you, Tim. Now, maybe do you have a few minutes? Do you want to take a seat and actually give us
I'll
real marathon
take a seat and
information?
give you some real information for another minute or two, sure.
Okay, so for everyone, now that we're done with sandwich time, this is Tim Kirchner. Tim is running the marathon match competition here. He can answer the questions that I can't because he's a lot smarter than I am.
A lot of people have been saying that to me today, and you know what? I'm being built up on a pedestal I'm never going to be able to reach.
We're talking about me here. The bar's low, so it's okay.
Fair enough.
All right, step right over it. So I've explained the city patrol problem a couple times. Do you mind just running through it again from your understanding?
Yeah,
hopefully clarifying any
Yeah,
questions?
I mean, the basic concept is that you've got a city, much in a grid layout, much like a lot of cities. Different parts of the city are more prone to have crime break out. You want to try to minimize response times and deal with crime as quickly as possible. So you have patrol cars that are out, which you want to move around in such a way as to essentially extinguish the crime as it pops up. So figuring out how to best optimize where crime is likely to appear and deal with it as quickly as possible is really the goal of the problem. And you've probably seen the visualizer where you can see kind of the levels of gray that are showing you, kind of how bad a neighborhood is, how likely there is to be crime, and then red when crimes are actually being reported.
So that brings me to a couple questions that I had.
Sure.
That I made some assumptions, so
Okay.
maybe you can clarify and tell me if I'm correct or not.
All
so,
right.
if a grid is red, that is where crime is actively happening
Yes,
right now?
that's where there's been an actual 911 call and something has been reported, there's a problem.
Okay. Now, I have noticed it seems like there's a grouping of red cells on this grid. It seems like there's a kind of a gray outline to it. So do cells turn gray when they're next to high risk, currently active crime areas?
They don't actually turn that way. However, the way the initial layout is that some parts of the city are kind of concentrated, the seedy neighborhoods, if you will, where crime is likely to occur.
Right, and over time, those change, they shift.
Yeah,
they expand or shrink.
There's a little bit of shifting in it. There's a little bit of randomization to it because, just like real life, sometimes things change, sometimes events pop up. That prevents it from being an entirely and immediately solvable problem right up front. That things are a bit more dynamic than that.
Mm-hmm. I believe our reigning champion is looking for some assistance right now, Tim. Is that something that you need to go address?
It does appear as though he is.
Yes. Tim doesn't need to go handle this one.
Go right ahead. I'm not worried that you're going to look on another competitor's screen. Well, there is that.
All right, disaster's averted. We're in good shape still on the marathon match.
You gotta keep an eye on him, Rush. Thanks.
All right. So,
Tim, you don't actually have to keep an eye on him, but it's all good.
Back
All
in
right,
the zone.
sorry about
Back
that.
in the zone.
Dealing with a little situation up there.
So, Tim, give us the high-level overview. So,
yes.
I'm not asking you to give a solution. I mean, there really is no solution. It's just optimization.
There's no one perfect solution. It's about different approaches.
Right. So, what are some approaches do you think folks might consider trying? We
Okay.
obviously don't know right
Yeah.
now all of their approaches, but what would you?
So
how
I
would
mean,
you
what I
tackle
can
it?
well, the kind of the first step of what I'd call the naive approach is you look for where there's the most likely hotspots, and greedily get your patrol cars to the place where there's either the most crime already being reported or most likely to be crime reported. And you start with that, and then as that changes, you move your patrol cars around. Obviously, there's a little bit more thinking you can do beyond that, where you start to think about, okay, well, what's the probability of something happening near an area? So like, or can I position my patrol cars so that they're spread out better, so that I can respond quicker to when something happens?
Because quick response also stops the growth of
Correct.
of crime, high
Yes,
crime
just
areas.
just like real life, in theory.
All right. How about, can you give us a bit of a walkthrough of how the point system works? I tried to explain it, and I think you could probably do a better job. So right now we have Saiho on top with a whole lot of points. Can you explain
So-
what those numbers mean?
yeah,
Now,
so
I
each,
apologize to everyone on stream that we don't have that available right now. I'm going to work with Tim and see if we can get it for later.
Were they
later
able to
broadcast.
split it off of the main stage for you, or no
I need
such
to go.
luck?
I need to go change plugs. With
Okay, that's why we can't do
Yeah.
it.
But well, yeah,
I'm
anyways.
revealing all the secrets
yeah,
of this.
yeah, the sausage making going on. So, well, right now, what is that? 917,000
Correct.
points for Saiho. What does that mean?
Okay, so there are actually, when they submit, there are 100 test cases that are being run. And the way the scoring works is they have what are called raw scores for each test case. And it's defined in the problem how a raw score is calculated. Not important to our discussion right now. But the way that is scaled is that you determine who has the best score on each individual test case, and then everybody else is scaled off of that. So theoretically, a competitor with a score of 1 million means they have the best score on all 100 test cases. So the score you see up there of 917,000 means that Saiho has the best or very nearly the best score on most of those test cases.
So scoring here really is relative to one
It is
another.
exactly, it's known as relative scoring.
Right. So right now on the bottom of the leaderboard we have Chakudai with 0 points, meaning he has not.
That
he is
means-
the worst on every.
Well, that more than likely when you see an absolute zero like that, it probably means that he's just returning some invalid output or something like that.
Okay.
And in which case he just automatically scores a zero. But looking just above that black math, he probably has his initial kind of dummy trial solution. Was the very first one he did, and he probably hasn't submitted since then.
I do have a question coming in the
All right,
chat,
excellent.
saying first thanking you guys, thank you for coming on and explaining the problem. Is it allowed for the audience to mention this problem, like put it on Twitter? I mean, I don't.
Generally speaking, talking about the problem is not too much of an issue. I would request people to be mindful of the fact that there is a live active competition going on right now, where folks
There's real money.
and there is real
competing
money
for.
at stake. Now, I mean, that said, it's unlikely that they're going to be looking on Twitter for somebody to help them solve the problem,
Yeah,
because
I think they're going to be solving the problem.
if there was somebody else more capable of solving the problem, then they would have already been here as a competitor, in theory.
yeah,
But
so,
just be careful not to say anything that might hint too much at the solution or
right.
possible
I
approaches.
I would not expect that, but
I
yeah,
would not either.
For sure. Feel free to talk about what they're trying to solve. I mean,
Yeah, absolutely.
The issue.
Yeah, talk about the basics of what they're working on, and just don't get too deep into the solutions.
Yeah, we have people falling asleep. They just want the algo competition. Check out the broadcast schedule.
Yeah, I
and
believe
you
that's
can
6
tune
o'clock
into
tonight.
The SRMs. We will be covering all of the SRMs.
Yep.
All of the rounds of SRMs. So I'd love to give you that coverage, but if they're not competing, there's not much I can do for you. So you're just going to have to deal with some more marathon coverage right now.
I'm seeing the questions coming in, and it
Yes.
seems as though they understood the explanation, so that's good.
Cool. Anything else that you'd like to share about the competition?
About today's competition, not too much, although it's very, very early, so I don't want to say too much about the leaderboard. However, I'm personally kind of excited to see Vladimir Leite doing so well and so near the top. He's been a competitor on site many, many times, and usually finishes kind of right around the middle of the pack, so it looks
Yeah,
like he
early
may have,
lead.
perhaps he had some early insights and got a really good jump on things, I'm not sure, but that's always interesting to see.
Nick described it earlier as he's brilliant mind or beautiful minding it.
Apparently, yeah. And as long as he doesn't start like writing on the windows here, because the sponsors would probably hate that. But yeah, not surprisingly, Saiho is on the top.
All right.
Nobody is surprised to see that.
All right, cutting back to an arena view, just giving you the lay of the land here. We have lots of people working. It's really how it goes at TCO.
What
Some
is-
of them are even competing in other
What is also
challenges
really
right now.
surprising to me is that I've not yet seen a game of Settlers of Catan start anywhere in the arena, and we're now like 3 hours into the arena being open.
Well, let's keep in mind that we also have a lot of our algorithm writers on stage working right now in the marathon match. So
That
could
is
change.
true, and the first round of Algo semifinalists are waiting until this evening for their round, so they might just be resting up. But even still, we'll see what happens.
So in the marathon match, any early, any dark horses? Anyone that you think we should watch out for? I know you've already given one shout out.
Yeah,
what else you should look out for?
Just looking at everyone else that's on the board, another name that kind of pops out to me, Paul Jeffries. He has been a competitor, not recently, but in years gone by on the Algo side, has been on site a few times. This is his first time, as far as I'm aware, making it on site for a marathon. So that's certainly a different name, and see if that changes things up a bit.
Yeah, Paul Jeffries coming in from the UK, our sole competitor from the UK,
Correct.
making it here for this competition. So keep an eye out for him as well. Currently right in the middle of the pack on the leaderboard.
Yeah, and we'll see what happens. We've got one competitor who has not actually submitted anything yet. I believe that's Millinen has not made a submission yet. Now that could just be what some competitors will do. This was actually a strategy that Pilo started many years ago, called the just sit at your desk and work on the problem and don't worry where you are on the leaderboard.
It seems like it's a good idea.
The
You can't
theory-
control your competitors. In
The
this.
theory behind that is knowing where you are doesn't actually help you improve your solution. Whether or not that's true, I'm not sure. There's certainly some discussion that could be made for that. But yeah, some folks just like to sit at their desk quietly doing the math, and then 9 hours in, will make their submission and hope for the best.
All right. Well, we're gonna switch over here, get a look at Merrick Saigan.
I'm actually going to get ready to head back to
All
do some
right.
other things, but it's been a pleasure talking
All right,
with you. and
Tim,
I'll-
thank you very
I'll
much
check in
for
again
joining.
a little bit later.
All right, excellent. So if you have additional questions for Tim, I will follow up with him and make sure we get those answers for you guys. We have Nick Castillo coming back into the chair here. Thanks again, Tim, and I hope you all enjoyed his insight into the marathon competition as we tune back into Merrick Saigan running the visualizer right now.
He's back in the top 3.
Yeah, kind of climbing back up there, but W. Lati.
I was.
Still knocking on the door with Saiho.
That's awesome.
Good chance to catch up to him a little bit. Saiho had to step away from his desk for a moment. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was actually around the monitors and talking to some of the other developers and some of the other competitive programming folks who aren't necessarily competing today. Some of them were trip winners, so they're not competing at all. They just actually got a free trip to come here and experience this whole thing. So got a little background on it. It was really cool. I don't know what you guys were talking about, but I noticed that as far as the gray and the red, there's certain levels of gray that the grays turn into red.
Yes, it gets
I didn't know
darker,
that.
darker, and darker.
Until it
Although,
becomes
yes,
red. Yeah.
what Tim told us though is that there's actually not a relationship between an area being gray and red.
Okay.
So I don't know how much I believe him, but he did. He is running the competition, so I should believe him. But every time I see the visualizer, my eyes tell me something different. So, I was raised to question things, so I'm going to question too.
Okay.
But let's keep our eye open for the next time that Merrick runs the visualizer here, and we'll get an idea.
It looks like we got a request to. They want a link to the current leaderboard.
We do not have a link to the leaderboard. That's not only displayed in the arena currently, and I will work on getting that up if people want to see that. Actually, Nick can help us out
Sure.
right now potentially. But yeah, so let's. We're going to let you guys watch Merrick work for a second. We'll come back in about 2 minutes with the leaderboard. So things might get quiet for a moment here, but stay tuned. We'll be right back, me and Nick, and we'll come back with the leaderboard so you guys can see where things are. Ask and you shall receive, viewers. I got the leaderboard, and I'm going to put it up right after Merrick crushes crime. Look at that in real time, just working his way through, and nothing was even growing there. He had it going so well. So nice submission there from Merrick Seigan. So here we have we have some bad transition work right there. So we're gonna do some editing in real time.
Nice.
This is a professional outfit. So.
Yes, very professional. A crew of 2 people that are actually in front of the camera already. So
Yes.
yeah,
And talking and
yeah, doing it all,
We're
guys.
a 2-man show. Like I feel like we are like the guy with the harmonica in front
Yeah.
and like playing
The
the guitar,
cymbals on
the
his back.
cymbals on our back. We're like each of those guys just kind of hopping around playing tunes. So
Good
here we have
analogy.
the current leaderboard. Saiho sitting on top. With W. Leite coming in behind him. Catalan T making a big jump with his latest submission, getting into the 3rd place spot on the marathon leaderboard, and Merrick also making a big climb. So we can see that the big gap that was there early, where Saiho and W. Leite were leading, is starting to shrink as the other members kind of refine their thinking and submit solutions that are getting a little closer. So we'll
Have
leave
you
this up
already,
for just a moment. Bear with us 1 second.
Have you already mentioned the difference between this number example and number full?
Tim was going to answer that, and then he ran away.
Oh.
How did that go? I believe that's an example is like a light test set of test cases.
Okay.
In the range of like 3 to 5, whereas a full run is all 100 of the test cases that they're provided.
Okay.
I'm like 90% sure on that, so we're gonna roll with it. Nick, anything coming in from the Facebook page?
No, not right now. We have solved Eliana's request
All right.
to provide the leaderboard, so here it is. And we'll come back to this every so often and
Right.
update you guys.
Right, and if it's a little bit of a delay when we need to get it up, just bear with us. Like I said, we're a 2-man show here, so we're hopping around, trying to manage all of this. So this one involves a little manual plugging and unplugging of cables. It's not pretty, but it works. So that's what we have going on there. We're gonna cut back. We see some more people coming into the arena, moving around, checking things out, and in a few minutes we'll switch over and talk about design for a little bit.
Yeah, and actually this is a great opportunity with this view right here is that the development competitors are here, and they actually had a meeting earlier today, and the development competition is a little different this year because it's going to be more of like a hackathon style. And so I think that's what our admins were talking to them about and making sure that they know that this is the way the development competition is going to work this year. It's going to be a little more subjective than it has been in past years. So so they got together for about 45 minutes and they actually get the problem ahead of time. So now they get to think about how they're going to tackle it. And I think what they're doing is creating something for Topcoder, for the Topcoder platform. And I already have talked to Sky, who is our reigning development champion, and he's like, I already have some ideas floating around in my head of how I'm going to tackle this. So I think it's good that they get the problem beforehand, especially for this type of competition.
Yeah, we began that process last year at TCO17 with the designers, bringing them all together to discuss the problem in advance. We saw that it gave people a little time to think about how they wanted to compete. They still can't write any code or get started, and they won't know all of the details until they sit down. So they obviously can't get a head start to keep everything fair, but nice to see everyone getting together and working together towards the same goal. Even though it's in a competitive way. So we have switched our feed over here. We're now tuning into Tome Run. Is that correct? Did I get it right?
Yeah, I think. See, he didn't submit a pronunciation, so I'm gonna.
Toomey Run.
Toomey
Run.
Run. Okay, you're gonna take the
I will
straight
run
English
to him
version.
and go to his feed. Coming in from Japan, so he has unlocked his screen. The last time he came in, last time we tried to catch up with him, he was stepping away from his desk, and we lost the view. And we got to show everyone a Windows lock screen, which was super cool. So
Oh, thank you to Pratap for putting the link into the chat on Facebook Live.
Pratap, you are the man.
He has the link. So if you want to read the full problem statement and see what the competitors are working toward, click that link.
And you can see exactly what they see there as well.
Correct. This is what they read, and that's what they're working toward. Solving that.
Excellent. So yeah, you can check out that link from Facebook Live. Maybe Nick will get it. We'll get it up in the Facebook or the Twitch chat as well if you're tuning in from Twitch. I hope we'll get it up in there.
Sure.
Don't send it to me though, Nick. I can't do it. Right
No,
now,
I know.
So. All right. So Tomei Run checking out the scoreboard right now. So you can see this is the view that they get of the scoreboard on the City Patrol problem. You can also check out what languages everyone is working in. So a lot of C++ developers in there, a couple Java guys, and then the single C# developer bringing C# onto the big stage there. Now, let's continue our tour of the marathon competitors and try to think who needs some more screen time. I think Chakudai could. We haven't been able to check in on him yet, and he's definitely earned his opportunity to go on the big screen. So, checking in now on Chakudai from Japan.
How's he doing?
From Japan.
Is he on the leaderboard yet? Okay, so he submitted.
Yes.
He has.
Yeah,
some points.
he's kind of he's lower on the leaderboard right now.
But I think everyone has points at this point.
Yes, everyone has submitted. So we, Nick, while you were stepped away, Tim gave us the rundown of how the scores work. So if you do a full test suite run where you're doing 100 test case problems, each one is worth a certain amount of points. So if you have a perfect score on that leaderboard, that means that you are the best performer on every single test case, all out of the 100 test cases. So it is relative scoring. So right now, Chakudai is not performing consistently as well, but he may have a solution to a couple of the test cases that's top notch, which is what's getting him his 250,000 points there. So we can jump back over to the leaderboard really quick. You can see where Chakudai stands right now.
So unfortunately, I am unable to post the link in Twitch. I keep getting a deleted link.
Oh yeah, so apologies to everyone in Twitch. You can check it out at topcoder.com, I believe, somewhere. It's on there.
Or follow us on Facebook. We're live there, and it's in the comments.
Yes, excellent. Well, and I'll use next time we take a break. I'll post it up as well.
All right, sounds good.
Since I got that sweet admin access. So, taking another look there at the leaderboard, and we'll tune back into Chakudai. So, two competitors in the marathon match this year from Japan. So
that's great.
Yeah, we also are reigning champion in the algorithm competition. RNG58 is also from Japan. So Japan with a good representation this year at TCO17.
That's great because you see typically a lot of people from Poland when in the competitive programming field. But Japan looking to make a push.
Yeah.
Maybe trying to overtop that.
Yeah, that's going to be good. So we do try to share the nationalities of all of our competitors. We have 29 countries represented at TCO17 this year.
Truly is the Olympics of competitive programming, design, and development, I think.
It really is.
Yeah.
I don't know why NBC hasn't contacted us for our rights yet.
NBC, if you're listening, here are your new co-hosts for this competitive program. As you can see, we have Marek Saigan is actually taking a coffee break. He's beautiful minding it, as I mentioned earlier.
That's the new verb, ready to go.
Beautiful minding.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh man, we're going to. That's a good call.
Let's see if we can pick him up.
Yeah,
there
catch
he
him
is.
right there on the left side of the screen. That is Marek Saigan coming in from Poland. One of our marathon competitors, currently sitting in the 4th spot on that leaderboard.
You can just see him pacing, thinking about.
He's got his headphones on, and he's just pacing and thinking about how he wants to solve the problem. And this is something that we see pretty much every year from Marek. He likes to get up, likes to move his feet a little bit, think about it. He puts on the noise canceling headphones to tune out everything, so he's just in his zone. And Yeah, just gonna sip down some coffee and think.
And there was a story about him last year, I believe. He's a professor, maybe, or some kind of a doctorate in his field, and he received a grant of a significant amount to study a particular type of algorithm, I believe, something along those lines. I'll have to pull it back up, but very cool stuff, and it just shows how smart these guys are, and how, you know, these are the experts. These are the experts.
So Merrick has resumed his seat. He must have had the light bulb go off there. We've come back to Chakudai as we watch the visualizer go. We see his
Love
code
the visualizer.
cranking away. I like the big ones.
Yeah,
I
the
like
big
pretty
ones are
pictures.
great.
What can I say? So yeah, we can see his patrol cars working their way through here.
It's almost like we're looking at
autonomously.
like a Minesweeper game and going through like really quickly.
It is. Now here you can see in that lower right corner of the screen, actually, you can see this little area that's just going to constantly expand if it doesn't get a patrol car to run through there soon. And that whole corner of the map could be lost. So he's, his algorithm at some point needs to get the patrol cars routed in that direction. Otherwise he's going to see, that area grow and become unmanageable.
I don't know if it's a tactic, but I believe from what I'm seeing is that a lot of these guys are leaving a chunk of red in one particular spot, and I think that's because they just want to go through right at the end and decimate a certain area. So get like all of your patrol cars in one area to clear it out really quickly. I think that might be one strategy some of these members are using.
All right, so I'm going to cut us back to the leaderboard. This is going to be the last time we're going to see the leaderboard for a little while, and there's a good reason for that, because I need to plug other things back in so we can switch over and change gears and start talking about the design competition. So we have currently a design semifinal round going on, and 7 competitors are currently putting together some real-world problems. Our sponsor is going to actually build a mobile app based on the designs that are being worked on right over here. So we're going to take a very short break, maybe rest the voice for about 2 to 3 minutes. We'll come back with design coverage, and we'll also be joined at some point by Adam Moorhead, who will kind of walk us through the problem and some of the design thinking involved as well. So stay tuned. I will leave you guys with someone's screen, and I think there's no one who people would rather watch right now than the reigning champion,
Who is currently in the lead. Yep.
currently on top of that leaderboard. So we will be back in just a couple minutes. Please stay tuned. Enjoy watching Saiho work away on the marathon match problem. All right, we are coming back to you at TCO17 in Buffalo, New York. Right now, you are watching Saiho compete in the marathon competition, where he has actually fallen into second place, with Catalan T taking over that top spot on the leaderboard with his latest submission. But we have been talking about marathon quite a bit.
As you said that, he just took back first place.
That voice you just heard. Great intro, great transition here. I'm joined by Adam Moorhead. Adam, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for having me on.
All right, so Adam is running our design competition this year, and he is here to tell us a little bit about what we're trying to do, or what, well, we're not trying to do anything. Designers are trying to do everything. So our great sponsor, M&T Bank, is here on site. They helped put this problem together. Can you tell us a little bit about what the designers are doing?
Yeah, so M&T Bank, they have they sponsor a local school here, Westminster, and they have this program, Buffalo Neighborhoods, where they contribute to the local school educational system. And what we're focused on is an application that can help students, once they graduate out of 8th grade, find mentors. So it's like a mentorship type application for students to connect with leaders in the community. So maybe you're interested in a certain type of field, and you could find someone in this application that could help mentor you or help guide you once you're out of 8th grade, going into high school, trying to learn what are the things that might be good, that you might be good at, you don't realize you're good at, or things you might be interested in, and you don't really have anyone in your life to help you with those kinds of things.
Cool. So I described it as almost like a dating app for 8th graders to find positive role models in their life.
I might not want to say dating, but
no,
yeah.
I know, but like it.
Yeah.
This is why I'm not the designer here.
But the idea is that we have this application that
It's a matchmaking app.
that we can swipe through and find people who have specific skill sets and they want to be mentors. So if you want to be a mentor, if I want to be a mentor and help students become better in different industries, it would be. And right now, it's when you think about it, it's actually hard for people to find mentors. They have to know someone that knows someone that happens to know someone
Right.
to offer them an internship.
And that person needs to be willing on top of that. So here the mentors have to opt in and say, I want to be a mentor, I want to help people. So it really takes a lot of the friction out of the process, it sounds like.
Exactly.
So I think this might be a good chance to get the designer eye, taking a look at some of the work in progress. So let's cut over and take a look at...
You want me to set this up? So right now
yeah.
we're doing semifinal 1. So we have 7 of our designers working for 3 hours. And then this afternoon we will have another 7 designers working on the same problem in the idea that this evening we will have a workshop with the customer. So all 14 designers will be in the room with the customer, with M&T Bank and myself, and we'll be talking through their designs. They'll have an opportunity to present their designs and talk about what they're thinking, what they're doing, and also ask the customer about the students, about the idea of this mentor. Who is this mentor? Why would a student want to use this? Those kind of things. So this is the first semifinal round, and who are we looking at?
We're looking at Zazuli Aziz right now, coming in from Indonesia.
Yeah, so great story here. He won he took second place and won a trip to TCO finals from our Indonesia event back in September. So
Excellent.
He's actually a new Top Critter member, and he took second place and won a trip. So great story here, and he's cruising along right now. They only have 3 hours in each round. I don't know if I mentioned that earlier.
Oh, that's important, and I didn't mention that either, so
Yeah.
thanks for throwing that in.
And so I think we're coming down to our last 30 minutes. So he has his tablet screen up, and he's designing for this initial experience. It looks like he's creating a dashboard where the student can come in and see. It looks like welcome Olga, so she can see her dashboard and see what kind of things are interesting for her. So it looks like her activity, so tracking her activity, things that she's doing. She's interested in science, art, and design, so maybe she can now filter in and see mentors that are in those fields, right? And now she can swipe through and see mentors that might be great, or that are saying that they are in the art field, right? Or they're in, specific specialties within that. So like myself, if I was a mentor, I could talk about design, and maybe if someone was interested in design, I could then help them help instruct them on how to get a career in design.
Yes. Step 1, create a Topcoder account.
Yeah, exactly, right?
So Zazuli jumping around grabbing some icons now, but just a moment ago you may have noticed that as he zoomed out, he's already got 5 screens put together in 2.5 hours. So what's the scope look like for the semifinal round? Are they focusing on tablet designs, or are they also trying to do their phone designs as well?
So right now is just tablet design. And we want them to be thinking about the end-to-end experience of the student signing up for the application, what's that registration process, what's the dashboard that they see, their ability to, the simplicity of being able to say, I want to swipe through and see mentors. So let's not make this super complicated, right? And then also, so right now we're focused just on the student. In future rounds, we may be focused on the mentor and what is kind of that end-to-end. When they arrive, what do they see and what do they do? But right now, we're just, in these initial 3 hours, is think through that experience. One of the key things here at Topcoder that we teach and train our designers, always thinking about that experience. You know, it's just not about making that single screen look pretty or, you know, be perfectly UI designed. We want the designers to be really thinking about, if a student arrives here, what matters to them.
Right.
And you're going to see across these designs, they're all taking different approaches to that dashboard because they're bringing their experience or their thoughts into what they think that should be.
Now, will they have an opportunity to work feedback from the customer into these designs before qualification, or before people are, kind of cut down to the final group for the finals?
So there's no elimination this year.
Oh, no elimination this year.
All 14 designers are going all the way through.
All right, excellent.
Okay? And so as part of that, we will have a workshop tonight. They'll get feedback from the customer and myself, and tomorrow they'll be able to take action on that feedback.
Excellent. All right, we're gonna jump now. You're gonna get a little more behind the scenes looks here, but Nick, can you go over to D5? So we are going from Indonesia over to Thailand. We have I Am Tong.
Okay.
And
looks like he's zoomed in right now.
Yeah, well, he's getting that detail work, right?
Yeah, right.
So, getting that great user experience that Adam was just talking about is important, but you also have to present it in a nice manner if you want to impress, especially in a competition environment like this. So we can see a little bit of detail work.
So it looks like he's created these cards from this view that are kind of the coaches that match you. So it looks like he's bringing in more maybe cognitive or bot type scenario where the application is suggesting mentors. Right, so as opposed to me just swiping and seeing who's there, it looks like I'm doing some.
Taking off a watermark.
But the idea is like, so what is that experience around? What is the application helping me? Is it something where I have to go in and do all this, or is it going to actually I open it up and start suggesting things for me?
So, Adam, one of the things that I hear a lot about nowadays when people talk about design is some of the tooling. There's some changes happening right now. Right now, we're watching Tong work in Photoshop, but when we were looking at Zazuli, I saw Sketch.
Yep, he was using
Are you
Sketch.
seeing a shift happen in what designers are using?
Yes, I mean it's probably beyond a shift at this point, but a lot of designers are using Sketch. It has a lot of great integration in with development tools. And then also, we're using a tool like Abstract, which is like Git for design. So Sketch does a pretty good job of integrating with that. We're also seeing Envision App just announced a new application that they're going to be doing. And then, of course, Adobe just announced Experience Design 1.0. So everyone's kind of moving into this space where Sketch over the last year, 2 years has really kind of grown. And we see competitors also picking up. And this is really kind of using these applications and taking designing experiences to another level and making it easy. So Photoshop can be a pretty heavy application at times, just with the amount of pixels and memory and size. And then not everyone necessarily works in Illustrator all the time. So Sketch has really kind of merged those worlds and merged it into what we do, obviously at Topcoder in the development. Ability to hand off assets.
So would you say if I was a starting designer right now, my best bet would be just start right away with Sketch?
I would say Sketch is something you should learn. Sketch is a tool in your toolbox that you should know and be aware of and how to deliver it. It may be something that's really easy for you to jump into. I also think obviously being aware of the Adobe catalog it would be key here. So especially since they're going to be since they're releasing their experience design and what Envision App's doing, right? So I think it's going to be knowing what's working for you what you can deliver for your customers. So we're focused on what our customers, tools they're using, right? And really kind of in our world, Top Cutter world, what gives you the speed advantage? What can you quickly do? What can you quickly use to get what's in your head onto the screen and essentially onto the paper?
Yeah, so speaking of what's in people's heads, I've swapped over and now looking in at Ravi June. Looks like Ravi is thinking about a messaging solution right now.
Yeah, it looks like he's adding messaging into his. Yep. So the idea would be what's the communication of these mentors with students, right?
Yeah, so he's taking it a step beyond just identifying the person, but figuring out how do you facilitate those communications and building that relationship. So,
Correct.
Kind of lightweight design at this point. I'm sure he's got a couple other screens that we're not seeing right now, but just shows you another way that people are going to come and take a look at the problem and what they're going to do to differentiate their ideas from everyone else's.
Yep.
So, Adam, do you have a suggestion? Who would you like to see right now?
Why don't we look at D-Jack?
D-Jack? All right.
D-Jack's back. He's back after 5 years. So
Excellent. Nick, can you give us D6, please?
let's see what D-Jack's up to.
D-Jack looks like he's recreating Facebook.
Yeah, it doesn't look like he's done anything today, right? How many screens are there?
Wow.
So here's a perfect example. So D-Jack looks like he's using Sketch, and he's a longtime Top Cutter member, which he's had to obviously go learn Sketch, and he feels like it's very useful for him. So I know historically he's used Photoshop. So.
All right.
But no, it looks like he's looking at it from kind of that feed standpoint of what's happening as a student, what's the information I'm seeing, what's my interaction with this thing in this kind of mentorship experience.
All right. We saw him popping over to the forum, so it does remind me. I know Adam is also managing this competition, so I want to be respectful of your time. Do you need to get back to?
I do need to get back because it looks like we're about ready to wrap.
Grind.
15 minutes left. So.
All right, so we're gonna quickly sign off with Adam. We'll keep the design screens going, but just wanted to say thank you, Adam, for joining.
You're welcome. Be back this afternoon to talk about the other 7?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
Great.
Your insight is definitely valuable and appreciated. So thank you for joining us right now. Thank you, everyone who was watching with us. We're going to cut back, watch some more screens. Nick's going to come back, and Adam's going to go manage the competition, make sure everyone has all the answers they need.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Come on back, Nick. Look at that. Swapping on the fly. Changing the set on the fly.
Yeah, trying to just move everything out of the way. We wanted to see Adam's full beard, so I was trying to move the microphone.
You may have caught a glimpse of it in the forum picture. You saw his little avatar, his little picture there, and it was a much shorter version of the beard. And the real thing is just so much more impressive.
I like to think it's like the playoffs where he's just growing out the beard for TCO, and then once he wins the World Series or whatever, he'll shave it off again.
All right, we've gone back to see D-Jack just because I was so impressed by how much he's done in just 2 hours and 45 minutes.
All right.
I mean, that's some real good work right there. I mean, I'm interested to see how he's going to present the user experience aspect of it. That's going to be Adam's big focus. Excuse us while we have a little background noise. 15-minute warning in the UI design competition. So. That's where those guys are. They're coming into the finish line. Marathon, not so much. 7 hours, 14 minutes remaining on the marathon competition.
They're going to be chugging along for the next 7 hours. So design gets a break. And as Adam mentioned, they're going to have a workshop, talk about it. I'm sure the designers themselves may collaborate with each other and ask how they're tackling it. I don't know if there's any strategy there. And almost as right on cue, we have Merrick again heading up, grabbing some snacks, getting a little sugar in his coffee.
Oh, but he's not in the shot. We see the view of the arena right now.
Yeah, maybe we'll get a little pan going.
Yeah, so I'll talk you through it. Nick's actually going to go grab the camera and give us a little view of what's going on here. So as he pans around, you got Merrick walk right through the shot there as he heads back to his desk, but he's actually kind of hanging out and thinking again. So as Nick pans to the right here, you're seeing the setup where the marathon competitors are working. the kiosk here with all of these monitors shows a mirror view of every marathon competitor's screens. You can see the large leaderboard in the background as well. Here are the desks that they work at. So we have 2 layers of 6 going up to, or 2 rows of 6, I should say, 1 elevated. Everyone does work behind a screen because there's no screen peeking here. This isn't going to be a GoldenEye situation. No looking at where the other people are at. So you can see everyone's kind of off in their spot right now, working. With the exception of Merrick, who you see is still pacing and thinking this through. It's always interesting to see how the smart folks work. So as Nick pans us back to the other side of the arena, you can see here where Top Coder members who have qualified for other competitions or won trips are hanging out and catching up after a year apart, or potentially maybe their first time here. Our main stage area is well visible there on the right side of the shot right now. The far side is where Adam has moved back to as he goes to clarify any remaining questions in the design competition, which is wrapping up down there at the other end of the arena on the second set of stages. So that is the TCO17 arena this year. It's a great space, really very open.
Yes.
Feels good in here.
It's kind of cool with the natural light coming in from the top too.
Right. So coming back into D-Jack. Checking out what he's doing.
You're loving this D-Jack stuff.
No, it's because I already have his video coming in. So,
I think I heard.
What do you see?
Well, actually, just a little background. When I went to Indonesia for the regionals a couple years ago, actually, D-Jack had made an appearance, and I was told that he had stopped Top Coder for a little bit. So he is a longtime member, but the design community hadn't seen him around for a while, and he ended up coming back, and he ended up winning a spot and competing, and you can see how seasoned he is by his design work, as you can see here, and he's doing it rather quickly. Like you mentioned, he had about 5 screens already.
Yes, and they're detailed screens as well.
Yeah.
So it's not, I don't think I could do 1 screen.
Yeah, I mean, I probably could, but it would take me
5.
like a week.
Yeah.
And these guys are churning it out.
Yeah, it's really impressive to see how quickly these designers can work. I'm going to take us back now over to the marathon match for a moment. Just check in. We're going to check in on Milanin, see how things are going over here. So from design to code, right back to design to code. That's how it's going to be the whole time. It's going to be visual, and then it's going to be less visual, unless a visualizer is up. But, yeah, so...
this is curious. I don't see him on the leaderboard at all.
That would mean that Milanin has not submitted any test cases yet.
Interesting. So he might be running...
He's clearly working.
Yeah, I think he might be running a lot of local tests, and perhaps maybe he has the best solution, but he doesn't want to show that he's gotten it yet. Maybe it's a strategy.
He's playing his cards close to his vest. It's quite possible. Now I know Tim mentioned earlier that sometimes the marathon competitors, and also the SRM competitors, just try to ignore leaderboards. They ignore what points people have because it's a different type of activity. So you're in competition, but you cannot directly influence what your competitors do. It's not like you're playing soccer and you have a strong defense and stop your opponent's offense from moving the ball. You can only focus on what you can do. So really, you compete against yourself. You're competing against the problem and against yourself. So it's almost like more like golf in a way, where you're your only competitor. You can't control if another guy goes out and has a really good day, but you can control how good you do. So some people approach it that way. No one might not. He might say I'm gonna be the dark horse. I'm gonna sneak in and submit something that's going to really wow everyone near the end here.
Could be say for a Mario Kart reference, and he's in last place, and he uses his purple shell and just destroys competition. Zooms right past him in the end. Who knows?
Yeah, I know. Not that Nick has ever done that to anyone.
Never.
Note the bitterness in my voice as I say that. So I'm gonna do some bouncing around. We're gonna jump between marathon and design.
Wow.
We're coming up on...
Design has 9 minutes left?
Yes, so design is coming in on the finish. So I want to really give everyone the chance to show off what they have done so far. So next, I am going to bring us over to design again, and we're going to see Tawibawo. Tewibo. Another designer in from Indonesia here. You can see him as he works towards the finish line. Photoshop, his tool of choice. So we can see, he's gone with a kind of different branding look than some of the other folks. He's gone with the heavy blue look here. And I wish Adam was here to give me the real designer eye, because he says way more value. he looks at it differently than I do, coming from a development background. But it's still exciting to see this, and these are the sorts of things that become the input to the work that I do on the development side of things. This design really helps drive what I'm going to, what I or someone else would do as we work on challenges to make it all come to life. Exactly. So here we can see, whoa, that was 11 screens in 2 hours and 52 minutes.
That's pretty crazy. I'm sure there's some duplication going on around here. You can see a lot of screens that look alike.
Little copy pasta.
Yeah, and that's not a bad thing. I mean, you got to work fast. You have 3 hours for this, first round, so you got to make the most of it.
Right. Yeah. Tewibo, face we see here almost every year.
Tewibo, yeah.
Yeah. He's.
And I wonder where he's from.
Oh, it's shocking. He's from Indonesia. Such a strong design community there.
Really is.
And it's actually really, really cool to see the relationships and friendships that have been built out. They all traveled here together. All the competitors who qualified from Indonesia. We saw them Wednesday. I think they got in. We started seeing them, and it's like they're a pack. They're really close knit. Even though they compete with each other, and one of them's gonna walk out of here really happy, and the other one might be a little disappointed. They're all going to. To be giving each other hugs and really happy about it at the end. All right. Live look in there at Tewibo. I'm trying to think, as we close in on the finish line, everyone deserves that chance to show their work. Who have I missed? I don't think we've missed anyone.
You got a little bit of everyone in there?
We got a little bit of everyone.
That's
We're
awesome.
maximizing the technology this year, getting the live looks in all across the board. So I'm jumping back, taking a look at the Twitch chat. No fresh questions coming in here. Anything on the Facebook side?
No, nothing there, not yet.
Does that mean we're doing such a good job that you guys are just feeling very content with what we're providing right now?
As they should. We've learned a lot from last year, so I think giving you guys access to the competitors, access to the leaderboard. We have heard you loud and clear, and we're doing that. Actually, a couple minutes ago, I went out to recruit. We do have a member that's willing to come on and talk about the marathon a little bit from his perspective, what he's seen from the screens, if you would like to have him on.
Yeah, do you want to just, you can lead the discussion. Let's do it.
Or you could.
Let's do it. So we're going to continue watching Tewibo for just a moment, and then we're going to get some live insight on the marathon match. So stay tuned. Nika, I'm Will. Nika, nice to meet you. So we're going to cut it back over to the studio. Nika, I've seen you sitting here watching all of the monitors so far, and it seems like you have a pretty good idea what's going on in the competition right now.
Yeah, it seems like most people got the same solution, but Saiho is one step ahead, so his solution is more advanced, and others have not done the next step yet. So it will take some time until they catch up, but then maybe Saiho will have something else too. So.
Yeah. Well, have you noticed what the common thread is so far? Are they focusing on response time of the cars, or the most optimal route?
Yeah, everyone is trying to get to the crimes with optimal route, and there is another component in the problem. You want to lower the crime rate. So what Saiho is doing, he's estimating crime rate in every location. So he wants to lower the crime rate by patrolling certain areas. So I think that's the main difference.
All right. Well, we'll take a quick look at Saiho right now. Actually, you can see what Nika's talking about in real time here as we see the visualizer running on Saiho's screen. I think this is the first time we've actually caught him running the visualizer on the broadcast so far. So Nika, you think that it's really the same approach as the other ones, but he just has the most optimized version of it at this point?
Yeah, so if we see here that there are gray cells, which means there are potential crimes. So his solution is going to those cells as well, which other contestants are not doing at this point.
Oh, okay. So that might be the differentiator, which puts him 200,000 points above the closest competitor, who's Merrick, sitting at 736,000.
Yeah, he just seems to be faster, and he has a better solution at this point.
So if you were to pick someone, I know it's still 7 hours to go, but who do you think is going to come out on top?
Well, obviously Saiho is the main favorite, but I think Marek and W Leite have a decent chance to get closer.
All right.
Because they're good, I think.
All right. Well, Nika, thank you for coming on and sharing your insights with us. We might pull you back in a little bit later because I noticed that you've been keeping a pretty close eye on it. So thank you again for coming on and talking
You're
with us.
welcome.
All right. So back looking at Saiho's screen right now, hoping to get another little visualizer. And what are we up to? Oh, he's checking his leaderboard. Oh, or maybe he's just submitting his.
Yeah, I think he might be submitting.
I don't think he's. He's submitting there. So I don't think he actually cared so much about what the other people were doing. I think he cares about what he's doing.
Yeah.
On that leaderboard. And he's so used to looking at it from the top.
Oh, look at that. Facebook Live. It looks like my wife's joining.
Oh, we'll give a little shout out here if you want to.
Oh.
There you go. You're back on camera. You
Hello, Valerie.
can see. Hello,
Nice
Valerie.
to see you all the way from
Yeah.
San Diego tuning
Yeah.
in.
And we took good care of him. He hasn't gotten lost yet. So
Not yet.
Not yet.
There's plenty of time.
A
This
couple
is
of nights left to go.
The first
and-
competition day.
Excellent. So we're going to do one last check on these chats because
Yeah.
we are coming up with the end of our first broadcast of the day. We will be coming back to you in just a little bit. Please, Dad, no DDoS. Zero experience in any of this, but it's really cool to watch. Thank you for the feedback. If you want experience, Top Coder is a good way to get started.
Yeah.
The best way to learn is by doing. I don't know if you're interested in code or design, whatever it's going to be. Right now, these are some of the top minds in the world doing it. There's so many tools out there to get started, and I bet almost anyone in this room would tell you that they just got started by teaching themselves and just starting to learn. So the first step's the hardest. So take that step, and you will have experience with this, and maybe we'll see you on stage someday. And I will also, we won't DDoS you, so don't worry about it.
Yeah, the first step is the hardest, and the first cut is the deepest.
Yeah, but that was really
First
deep.
cut is the deepest.
Oh man, and Valerie just turned it off.
Yeah.
I'm out of here.
And it says Valerie Castillo has left. Okay, that's great.
Awesome. All right, we're going to take one more look in at Saiho. If there's anyone else that anyone wants to see on the screens, this is your chance. This is your chance. I will scroll through some feeds. We won't have sound going though, because Nick and I, need to breathe at some point, right?
At some point.
Some point.
This might be a good time. Oh, it looks like we actually have a tourist sighting right before we head off.
Oh, yeah. Taurus making an appearance in the arena. If you're not familiar, Taurus is here every year competing in the algorithm competition. It's not a marathon competitor, but our algorithm competition is very excited. He's frequently a favorite. Last year, he didn't make it to the finals,
It was
though.
very
It was a
surprising.
big upset.
Yeah.
There was a lot of noise made in the arena that day.
A lot of oh no,
Yeah.
didn't expect it. I think he had failed one of the problems.
Attention.
And
Semifinal 1, 2017 Top Coder Open.
Oh, big announcement going on. Semifinal round 1 has just wrapped up. So down at the far end of the room, everyone likes walking in front of their camera. I mean, I guess it's in a bad spot. That's our fault. You can see down at the other end, people will probably start filtering out from those desks now that UI semifinal round 1 is complete. We are coming back later today with semifinal round 2, 7 more competitors hitting the stage and doing the same problem. Probably some different perspectives though on that.
do we know what time that is?
Yeah, it's on the broadcast schedule.
Okay.
Yeah,
It's
thanks,
it's a little later. Is it?
Nick. Nick loves these leading questions that I don't have answers to off the top of my head.
You've studied really hard.
We do have 2 more broadcasts scheduled today.
Okay.
That I can tell you.
Awesome.
So I believe our next one is going to be at 1:30 Eastern Time. That's UTC -4 for all of our international viewers. So that's the next time that we will be back, and that's going to be design semis 2 and more marathon.
More marathon.
Because the marathon
7 more hours.
still has 7 hours. So these guys still have a long way to go. As always, feedback, Facebook, Twitch, please share with us. We want to talk to you guys. We want to bring you what you want to see. We are at the end of our broadcast time.
All right.
I need some water. I don't know about you.
I could use some too.
All right. So everyone who's been staying with us, thank you so much for watching. We're going to cut over and